Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Nishi Chawla once again. I'm going to read the 8th section of my 125-page long poem titled The Ganga. It's on the river Ganges, most sacred to all Hindus across the world. Uh, the title of the 8th section of the Ganga is Flowing. In the motionless air, you seem to climb the rim to the top, freeze the landscape. Only the sound of your water in the gorge, so you sit a while, as if nothing would ever change, as if a happy spirit hangs over all. Forests of virgin oak and pipe, and saptrishi kind, a lake stops, breathing. They walk slowly in the mountains above Yamunotri, a photograph where nothing will ever change but for the radiant light they carry. Pendant planets beckon the pretty deities with them, waiting to be immersed in your waters. The palanquins tilt just a little. As icicles drip, as the Moru oaks rise above you, near your headwaters, dampness too rises in the forests, alert and akimbo. The sweaty loudspeakers struggle with all forms of prayer. The morning kirtan makes its harmonies. Sadhus sing Sanskrit hymns, succumb to the arti, hold their hands close to the tenor chorus until they find the tempo of their hearts close up to your twisting course. Reach out as you run in a slow trickle between the rocks, snared by the dark, snared by the dry ravines. Smile as the dappled sunlight comes in low. Then they join hands to shovel away, tense the buttocks. More rubble combs down landslides, stuffing into their prayers, scrape the bottom of sacks. They fill up fast, then spin apart, the impact of falling debris, the ruins of dead trees, the loose breeze that swells the sails of boats winding and twining on your wide expanse, a form you receive from the land you flow through, carve your spaces. Amid wild flowers and herbs, their dreams turn miles of mud into dust. A chalky tan tar powders the pilgrim souls, sob a last song. Then you become a ribbon of clear water. Then you curl up amid invisible notes between margins of exposed rocks, supremely feminine. You ride between the hardy ridges, sensing a passion rise within the sandbars beneath your surface, pressed upward, wrapped, carry heft. Your trail blocked sometimes, the moss-covered rocks, stubborn and undergrowth that loops a skin over cycles of tide that dare. So those tiny rivulets that flow through mossy channels smell the resinous pine sap from black rocks showing through astride. And sometimes you hardly seem to move, stuck in turquoise glory, display your healing ways, then surging, swelling, slide by quietly, washing up against the steely cliffs, a placid, sinuous stream, lonely, friendless. In the wintry, barren dharamshalas and high snow peaks, waiting in rusty green looks, dragging the quickening future of new warmth, new suns, slowly letting go of the liquid shadows. The waterfalls too wait, like blind painters, spilling down ravines in their veins of milk, like columns rising in lumps. Their incrustations snake out small, exultant life signs, fading to sooty white, let in a few glimpses of snow peaks backing their birth. You watch the angels of three worlds watering them. So pilgrim souls walk clockwise from west to east to join you in Swarg. Their facial muscles twitch, laden with agarbattis, camphor, sandalwood, kumkum, the japmala, and lamps lighting their long journey to you. Others take their struggles around, walk from your source to the mouth at the bay, the beauteous Sagar Islands, Pradakshina. To roll in your bounty, they walk 6 long years, your shining shadow in their eyes prostrating, bowing, measure their lengths. Or what is their river for when scars are not knocked into their battered hearts, changing them forever, walking forward? Even you would leave mountains, even you would cut off the surplus, porous rocks and boulders weaken. In the distance seen, only a blue streak. A shallow bed leaks from the cracks. Your scorched hands carry a small change, crawl downstream, wastes of sand, sad jacket of swamps. A white ribbon of pale stones, water that trickles through an enormous plain until it is refined and only the sky shows goodness. You hold lonely conversations as if a vampire has drunk your fine fettled blood. The Khadir, vast lowlands, become a drawn line. You seem so changed, yet terribly so, a waste on one side, riddled with jungle on the other, deadlocked on both ends, usurped. Above the wall of the jungle, above strains of the blue and green, somewhere a touch of the eerie, somewhere a touch stained, strained. You could be running wild, your arteries famished, a world forgotten, fear interlocking your spine, crushed bed springs. You curl away in sheer misery as the rain lingers, as visual perception turns upside down, dove like, unguarded. It may be the stars use you to reckon with their own patterns. It may be they turn you southward, as they always try to save, but you move swiftly on, a westward turn, until the jungle leaves you far behind, until you start running away. Far from it, your grip let go, and boulders shrink from stone to shingle to sand, until waterfalls spring like tangled cords. So intricate, you start beating your own hazard. Then you hack your emboldened way, a flux of silver through forested slopes. You twist and turn, bubble up, disturbed from lack of action. You aerate yourself, a cow milking cream, turbulent, then granular white, your rapids, frothy and fast, a water dazzle, superb, spectacular, hauling, stopping, a disturbed laminar flow, grandly unstable, like your heart beating in your fist like buzz bombs, spindling rivulets, unspooling a beer keg constantly. You spend yourself tirelessly with a blind sense of the metaphysical, rather with a skittish, playful sense over and over the granular canoeing moves, whitewater images. And then another swift, raging torrent, agitation, as though a monster knocks from below the stream bed, such anger at the hands of a divine Godhead create new channels with dubious disregard, constricted might charm over, then depress everything into the hollow of your belly, build pressure that releases into a swollen whirlpool, cushion the hydraulic thunderhead gray, eddying, obstructing, grinding flint to dust, elevate the gradient, eject. You join the hydra-headed delta at the Bay of Bengal, drawing down from your source mile after mile until the moonlight crosses over and puts you into other hands. As the Brahmaputra whispers, as the hollow of your bellies mount, collecting the restless rainwater that flickers with a spectral gleam that has no choice against the winds raging, against the sleek cocoon of water to be saved. So you would flow on. So would sedimenta flow too, spreading its listless sheen as you tilt somewhat inward drawn. You carry its burdens down from the Himalayas, hasten down the Vindhya hills, slowed down now, centuries full of motion, until the orange glow melts, until you join the Brahmaputra, and the Meghna meets you both in a sort of tripling over union. Drain the Assam plateau, roll over in handcuffs, float untethered. Meghna sings, only the angels can hear her. And then your arms and legs twist together, locked in the lips of a giant delta. The story of three rivers carving slow human circles across the bounds of time. At the sea's edge, ghost grey forms, sand and mud caught within each other's shield, squeezed between the songs, between the alluvial plain and quick drowning, the rippling, running, changing, descending between rocks, converging in muddy islands that squelch, straightened and sharpened stems, past the crevices, intertwined roots, foaming loud in low tide, muddy mangroves, colonies of evergreen mangroves, tropical smells, packing plates of exposed roots following each other. In swamps of unworkable force, warmed by each other's aquatic warmth, telling tales to each other of fish and fowl in Sundarbans, a delta that the bite of sediment would consume, trickle down in syncopated rhythms toward the sea of changing waters. The grit of grace makes an ecosystem, hands inching across where crocodiles sacrifice themselves. When trees and birds and tigers confer, where peace goes up in flames, gorgeously so in decline, a tree would weep, sway and lurch, and protect its own rights, watching their own death, walking toward meaningless error, when timber is the measure and profit becomes God. As a fresh new wind skims across your heaving body rides, transfer the illusion of stillness. Your promise is like a butter knife through memory. You flow past mosaic lines of stained slate roofs, pant through patches of scrub, the close smell of forests magnifies uncertainties. Those disruptions of the outer world, the tender cries, propitiating the gods, low smokes, riding over velvet green overcast, smudge the hemlines of women, planting seedlings in measured pulse, then caress the ox wading through the churning, frothy waters. You turn north at Uttarbahini, glitter in your upper reaches, grimly step up, a Shiva temple posted. As a sort of personal photographer, sadhus with begging bowls, so utterly, infinitely indifferent, plant the bamboo staffs, blow their conches, then step back, spiral into another time. Your arboreal dreams glimmer in the sandalwood paste smeared on their foreheads. They await you. And another time, melting into it, ferns uncoil out of dead branches. A current of muddy water breathes desire, quiets grief. The simmering presence of nature, your constant row imposes reflections A heavy silence spindles on forests, surrounding you with a solider color. Like an ascetic escape, a sannyas seems almost insurmountable, like losing an identity on your banks. Discard family. Beyond the smuts of possession, put lives along your banks, simply as in the waters of a mother's womb, as unspoiled along your banks, as unspoiled villages scattered, tiny pebbles between my toes, round, shiny, hard, granite-like. You left us behind in Nimdida. Then we followed you, splitting yourself into the Padma and the Bhagirathi, meander, mark time, among the pithless reeds, where a fisherman perches his net in a forgiving kind of plenitude, short of a gigantic grey tapestry, a new country across the border further out, a sandbank with injunctions of rivers lies sacredness as a gold leaf, moss-covered rocks that smile with glee, a huge bright blue, evenly edged, beyond the factual world, finite, distressed, lies a landscape with God's spilling fuel, igniting our inner selves, molten softening, then erupting into the larger waters between the one-way gates, between the expelling, soaring sounds of a river, rubbed, raw-edged entanglements, slipping into other names. You become hoogly, artist-like, between subjects, between objects, then bowed an arc, drowsed amid the jars, the sway of sedimenta, the fireless ghosts erode, shaking through landslides, twitching turbulent flows, silt staining the bay, holding hands stretching out over the limbs of Bengal, fought, fished, and bled. You flow through smoldering in other lands, other names. Thank you. Please await the final section of my 125-page poem, The Ganga. I'll be reading the final section, section 9, very soon. Thank you.